Hey, WokeNFree Nation. Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice.
For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening.
You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, or even one of your favorite celebrities. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud.
And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, WokeNFree, is there too.
Now let's get into the episode. Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 280th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week we're asking the question, is it possible to be happily married? Dun dun dun.
Good question.
Yes, it will be, actually.
Riveting.
Quite. But before we dive deep into the subject, a couple of things to go over. First, we are so excited that you're listening to our episode. We hope that you have discovered it through WokeNFree.com. But even if you haven't, we ask that you make sure that you follow and subscribe to WokeNFree on whatever platform or way that you're accessing the show. Definitely on WokeNFree.com. In addition to listening to the episode, we ask that you download the episode. If you download it to the Podbean app, then you can put in your comments. So if you listening happen to be happily married and want to share the secrets to your happy marriage, we'd love to hear it. And if you're like, rubbish, foolishness, doesn't exist, we'd love to hear you sit on that side of the argument as well, and everything in between. So again, make sure you have the Podbean app on your phone or whatever device you listen to podcasts on. That way you can put in your comments. Now, if you cannot, for instance, do that, then another really great way to support WokeNFree is to go to WokeNFree.com, go on the Listen tab, and then whichever platform of choice you'd like to follow and subscribe to our show at, we'd greatly appreciate it. We're on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world. So where podcasts are typically consumed, you'll find us. Super exciting there. And then, of course, on WokeNFree.com, on the top, you can click subscribe to follow the show through the Podbean app as well. And then on social, if you'd like to connect or just follow along on our conversations and our social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And then if you have 90 seconds, which is more of a statement, less of a question, would love for you to review the show. So again, how do you do that? Go to WokeNFree.com, go to the Listen tab, and then pick your platform of choice where you're going to give us a review. Thank you in advance for the 5-star reviews. Kicking it to you now.
That's what you would like?
If I could make it 10 stars or 1,000,000 stars, I would. But yes, we'll start with
That's
5.
acceptable? Nice.
For sure.
That's definitely valuable information.
So you were totally sleeping then. You're doing this through osmosis here.
If you say so. I was just blown away by the information you just
the
divulged.
Pointlessness of that, eh? For you, at least.
I just like it. I just hope people can take that to heart.
I hope so as well.
That's what I'm hoping. And then before we start this conversation, we like to share a little bit about ourselves. This week we are asking, would you rather do push-ups or crunches?
Push-ups or crunches? Both are really hard, but being that I myself find myself pretty much in the gym every day, which has been a really fun, different side of myself that I'm exploring, I would say to answer your question, I'm going to go with crunches because push-ups are hard, and I imagine they will get easier, but as of right now, that would be my direction, crunches. Yeah. How about you?
I would think of that. I can do push-ups anywhere, but the only thing is, I do prefer crunches because that's your core, and your core is used in every kind of workout and activity that you do. So I'd rather I'd rather do the crunches because to work on my core. But push-ups, it's funny, I'm more likely to actually do the push-ups because you can do those anywhere. With the crunches, you gotta you get on your back and do that. But with your push-ups, you just use your hands and your feet, so it's not a big deal. Wash your hands off. But crunches, you can't wash your shirt off really well, so you can't just do a crunch on the sidewalk or anything. But, I can go do push-ups on top of a car, so that's what's cool about that. And I can't do push-ups on top of a marriage, but is it possible that we can talk about how people can stay happily married?
Exactly. Phenomenal. Thank you for that. So I'm going to answer your sloppy question with a sloppy answer.
Okay.
My answer is yes, I think it is possible to be happily married, but with the following understanding. First and foremost, I don't believe marriage itself, the institution of marriage, makes anyone happy, because marriage itself is a legal and financial bonding or binding of two people. And there's nothing really particularly happy about that. It just is literally a formalized binding contract, or aka obligation that you are putting yourself under. And so
it sounds very happy inducing though, because you take somebody off the market, so nobody can take that person. By the contract, not saying that's what happens and I'm not saying that happens in reality, but if you just look at it by the contract, you're like, yes, now you're off the market.
But it's also like, so I'm legally and financially tied to you, so if you mess up in life, that creates a problematic situation for me. There's nothing happy about that. Like, it just means that
you're thinking of it from the glass half empty. The full cup is that you get the person all to yourself, and now
but that's not true either.
I know, but
that's
what
I'm trying to say. Like, if you look at the reality,
what's actually true, it's about what should be true.
If you look at the reality of what marriage is, and the institution itself is not particularly happy. It's just an obligation.
You look at the truth.
However, but to be married and happy, do I think that's possible? Yes, but you need to be very clear individually on what makes you happy. And as for me, 2023, one of the things that I'm personally working on is a journey of happiness myself. So I do not think I'm the only person on the planet currently on that journey. So I would say that to truly be happy and married, then you would have to know what happiness means for self. And I personally don't think everyone knows what that is for themselves. So it would be, and happiness is a journey and not a destination. But I think that there needs to be clarity there for both parties involved in the marriage. And then also, the marriage itself to another person needs to be a value add to both parties involved. If it is more meaningful for one person than another, then I think that's where you have a break in the system. And then again, happily married doesn't apply for all parties involved.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Because I have some data on that later.
Oh, cool.
That I've found.
Okay.
But yeah, later for that. To this question, it's definitely possible to be happily married. You just gotta know what you're really getting into. So I think one of the first things is you should understand your likes and dislikes of your partner. Because I think most people don't even know that. They just marry this person and they think that everything works out because we're married now. So it just automatically falls into place. So they don't care what their likes and dislikes are. So example, they don't care that their partner only will watch, sports. They won't watch any sort of other programming.
But it also changes too, though. Who you marry in the beginning.
Yeah, get into that. That's kind of my next. I guess that's kind of my next 2 points. Kind of they address that, but I just think the first step is just to know even where, like, what's the baseline? Where are you at right now? People don't even know. They discover things like, oh, so you just throw your tea bags on the floor when you're done with them,
I didn't know where you were going with that one. Okay.
Stuff like that. Because people dispose of different things in different ways, and you may not know how they are. So if you haven't lived with your partner before, and this is just your first time, you're married, and now you're living together, you learn new things.
Rude awakening.
Yeah. So I think you should get to know that kind of stuff before, just so you know what you're getting into. That's number
Which
one.
Is problematic because different cultures don't.
I know some don't do it. Well,
things like that.
Yeah, and then they don't permit for happy marriages, right? I mean, that's
it creates a situation.
It makes
where
it a lot tougher.
You create a situation where people might. It's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah, it's easier for it to be an unhappy marriage when they put in these barriers, right? That's because that's crazy. You should kind of know what's going on when you live with somebody.
Yeah.
So my second point, that kind of deals with what you're talking about, is that you have to know what your partner imagines their specific future to be. So what's their goals? What's their ideals of a future, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? What do they imagine it to be? What are they looking to, do they want to grow? Do they want to stay the same? Stuff like that. And again,
people don't always know the answer to that.
They don't,
Where we sit today.
It's good to know.
I could not tell you I knew that at 18.
So it's crazy.
Just that you don't know sometimes until you don't, until you live it, so.
Yeah, that can hit you. And that's why the third point, you got to be willing to grow with your partner and also change your viewpoints, because you might be really stuck on certain things, but that's not going to work while you're in the marriage. You're going to have to give it up and say, I can't have the hot Cheetos every day, You're going to have to say, maybe I got to just get the plain, because that's not hitting the stomach right.
Okay.
I mean, if your partner hates spicy foods and you love it, you can't cook that. Or the
outcome of spicy foods. But
there's people that can't just take the spice, though. So, I mean, you can't cook spicy.
Absolutely.
So you can't just cook spicy for them.
Or receive the ends of spiciness, yeah.
I mean, I think everybody can take it. That's what the human body was designed for, to be able to take spices and be destroyed, but not be able to, you should be able to move on with your life, though. That's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's, we know that. We've got to ask the question, are married people currently happily married, or are they just dwelling in sadness?
That's a really interesting way to frame the question. So I found an article, an L article, and all of our links you can find on WokeNFree.com in the show notes. Okay, so make sure you check that out. And the quote was as follows: "If happy marriages were common, divorce wouldn't be." And it cracked me up because
it should crack you up.
That's it right there. So there's that. So kind of mull your mind around that piece. And then additionally, I found another article on Psychology Today, and at the top, there's some really cool, just kind of key points that were shared, which is as follows. Researching marital effects on happiness is tricky because happier people are generally more likely to get married than others. So, is the happiness derived from the marriage, or is it derived from the fact that whatever else is going on in those people's lives that they happen to be forward, nurture the marriage, which then you can't really, that becomes hard to pull apart.
Yeah, I don't think you need to pull it apart though. If you can, if you're married and you're happy, who cares if it's due to the marriage or due to something else? Either way, you're married. But
from a scientific perspective, it's harder than to kind of quantify
you can't say that.
Then.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even know what would be the benefit to know that. Or I guess the benefit is saying married people are more happy than unmarried people. That's what you could say.
Statistically pull that out. Is it that
that's a rough thing.
Happier people are married, or happier people tend to get married and thus are happier than single?
There's too many variables, though.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because even to say that, I think you can, because technically you can be single and happy too.
Correct.
To say that married makes you more happy. I mean,
that's the essence of this episode, right? That's the
well, no, I thought the essence of this episode is can you be in a happy marriage or not?
Yeah. I know.
I mean, it depends how you take it, but
depends on how you. So
I took it. I took this episode as: are married people happy, or are they in jail? That's what I was.
So we know your answer there, but
I'm no, I just asked the question.
Yeah, are you happy, or are you living in hell? I mean, exactly. So next from Psychology Today, still statistics suggest that the chance of a marriage being happy are no better than 50%. So we know what side of the 50% you sit in.
That's pretty good, though. And heads or tails?
Then and tails for you. And then women, research finds, have a lower chance of finding a partner to love than men, but they are also more satisfied with living as a single person, 1,000%, because y'all are too much.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But to say that they have, I mean, that's interesting to say that men can find a partner to love, I mean, what type of love they talking about? They just talk
exactly.
Like, I wonder, are they talking about like true heart to heart love or some other type of love?
Again, how do you scientifically quantify that, right? Because also the problem with this type of research is it's too subjective because people can lie on their surveys, and it's also we all don't define love the same way as a human race. What I define as love is not going to be the same as you, which is not going to be the same as every other person on this planet.
Maybe that's hard.
It's just
because men might see this and their love is like, of course you love that partner, right?
Yeah,
it's like, I
love you. Please
it's not really
continue to head towards the bedroom, right?
Yeah, it's not on just a emotional, intimate level. It's a different type of intimacy that they're talking about.
Different types of love, different types of connection.
But I could believe this definitely that women would be just like, yeah, I'm single, but I'm doing it and I'm happy. But there's a whole group of men that are upset that they're single, so I don't think women even have that. There's a whole
I think there's some women who tout off around being frustrated about
they're
being
frustrated,
single.
but did they make a whole group where like a hate group against the other people?
I've never heard of something like that, but I've never looked for something like that.
And then these people, they're extremists too. They do they go out of pocket and do some bad stuff. So, like, I don't think women do all that. Like, men, there's some bad that.
I mean, there are outliers.
They go off
but typically I've not heard of something
I don't think
like
women
that.
go off the charts for it, but yeah, men do not. Most men don't want to be just single like that. Like,
because as you like to say, a man is a man, right? And you guys,
I just think about it.
Pursue certain behaviors.
Think about it. It's not even. It's biological. Like a man has a factory that's always producing.
You are very biased. And
I'm not biased. That's a biological fact.
We're definitely not going on that one. Nope.
What?
Nope. We are not. Nope. Because again, we are not sticking to norms or classifications or assumptions per gender. Because again, life is a lot broader now, and how people define themselves is a lot broader. How people live is a lot broader.
Well, people know where I stand, but we can just continue. That's what I have to say on that.
Agree to disagree.
But I think that to say that current married people are happy. I mean, some of them are, but can we say that most of them are? I mean, I guess if you look at the statistics, technically, I think, a lot of them are married, but it's not that many. It's not like 90%, right? That's not the numbers that I was finding. And I was basing my numbers off the divorce rate, because I don't know, if you get divorced, that means I don't think you had a happy marriage. But that could be argued too. Maybe your marriage was happy, and then it turned sour, and now you're divorced, right? Isn't that interesting? Because what if you're happily married, and then you divorce, a year later? Does that not mean you had a happy marriage? Happily married
doesn't imply or imbue that you have to be happily married
and stay together forever. See, that's what's interesting.
I think there's a season for things. And
it's possible.
If you were married for 30 years and you were happily married for 15 years, I don't think you discount those 15 years just because you ended up being divorced. But ultimately, did it last? No, there's... but nothing lasts forever.
Yeah. So. And so I found this data that Finances Online, they went and they actually analyzed the CDC data, because the CDC didn't put it in terms of percentages, but what they found was that for 2022, 73% of third marriages, 60% of second marriages, and 41% of first marriages end in divorce.
Oof.
And 75% of that was due to lack of commitment. So
it's embarrassing.
I mean, if that's happening, I think people just, I guess they can't choose their one partner, right?
Though, like lack of commitment.
Yeah,
that's rough, man.
They just say,
because that can be interpreted in so many different ways. That's so interesting.
It is, yeah.
Oh wow.
The next thing, I'm not gonna say the percentage. I mean, you can go to the source and see that, but it was infidelity. It was the next reason why people broke up.
That makes sense. Because,
I mean, that's tough to...
implies commitment issues as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on commitment, but that's even further, right?
Correct. Well, that's a whole other level.
But that's funny that's actually lower than lack of commitment.
Just not being able to get it
People
together.
just can't say, I'm in this for the long haul. You're my one, and I'm going to do this, and we're going to be happy together.
Again, and we talked about this, the question of monogamy is still, that's why it's being challenged. And that's why some people are refusing to live their lives under those types of old school constraints, because I think people are really recognizing that maybe one for one is not necessarily the equation they want to live by. Like that, like they want to do a little bit different math here.
They're doing freestyle, right?
I think instead of the core math, they're doing a little bit different. And they're bringing it back.
They're doing trigonometry.
They're doing
but it might be
permutations and repercussions.
Oh wow.
They are doing all sorts of different things, and God bless them. Everyone has got to find their truth and their path.
Yeah.
With that, what would you say is what does that spring for you, or what does that kind of lead for you to want to discuss next? Then,
well, we gotta tell our WokeNFree listeners some advice on this, right? So maybe you can give some advice on being happy and married.
Woof. Again, I'm beginning my journey of true commitment to my own personal level of happiness. I would say I'm 36 years old, and I don't know if I have truly fleshed that out for myself, honestly. And so I'm proud of myself to, I guess, admit that, and then also admit this publicly. For the folks closest to me know this already, but I want to be WokeNFree and honest, as uncomfortable as that is. I want people to also be willing to be vulnerable and say to yourself, you know what, I'm 88 years old and I don't know if I've been happy, right? And so wherever you stand on this journey, today is your sign and your signal to say, you know what, let me figure this out for real. And with that, if you happen to be married, more so now than ever, it's really important for you to critically understand your level of happiness so that you can do the following. I accept and understand that happiness, like I said earlier, is very much a journey, not a destination. So wherever you sit, either the beginning, middle, end, or somewhere in between, it is okay. It is because you're married, there is two journeys, there are two pathways you're on. You're on your own pathway of happiness that you have to figure out, but then you're also on a pathway with your partner or partners. But if we're going to keep things under U.S. government law of one for one type of math, y'all, then, what is going to make you happy? Figuring that out is going to be really critical, because then for you to walk onto the pathway with your partner, you can only make your partner happy if you're happy. It doesn't work if you're not happy, because your partner is going to want to do things or be seen in different ways, and you're not even going to have the capability or the bandwidth to do so because you're struggling with your own happiness. So I can't stress that enough. Second, you need to continuously challenge and question what are the things that are making you unhappy, and actively put into place action plans and take the action necessary to eliminate, to reduce, and to figure out a way to get rid of the toxicity, to get rid of the negativeness that is detracting from your happiness on your personal journey as well as on the journey as a couple. And so if that is people in your life, au revoir, you know how I am, y'all. Virgo Nation, always. Adios, compadre. And because it's critical, because life is really short. And if you cannot make the time now for you and your partner, then you'll never find the time. And my question back to you, listener, is who are you living for? Because if you can't find the time for you, if you can't find the time for you to then make that time for your partner, then you're living for strangers. And I don't know where that's going to lead you, but I don't think it's going to be on a happy road at all, much less it be a yellow brick road. So there's that. And then you also, my third tip would be determined, because the thing about life, as we all know, is there are so many different hurdles and different distractions and different things that happen. For instance, you could be working out and then, you pulled your hamstring, and now your doctor says, okay, you can't be in the gym anymore. And you're like, oh man, I was on a roll. I'm doing right? Like there's always things that's going to come up in your journey that are going to try to, if you're of Christian folk mindset, like the devil's going to creep into things, right? Like that's how I grew up hearing that type of thing, right? Where you sit with that, however you need to sit with that, eliminate, how do you?
Wait, this thing is invading your body? This extraterrestrial being?
Yes, exactly. So
why are you trying to scare people?
Because that's life.
Oh.
It's quite scary, isn't it?
Body snatcher? I don't like that.
1,000%. So exactly. So you don't like that, right? We don't like the scariness or the intruding of unhappiness. So be vigilant. Be determined to prioritize your happiness. Be determined to make it a priority for yourself each and every day, not on Tuesdays, not on Saturdays, every single day, and talk to your partner. Like you mentioned earlier. If you don't know your partner, if you don't know what they like, if you don't know what makes them happy, the best way to know that is to actually open up your mouth and speak with each other. And not just through text message or through Messenger or, it's sliding in the DM, but literally have conversations, walk outside, get some air, all of that good jazz. So I know that was a lot, but I think it's really practical steps there.
All right. I can see listeners trying to take that to heart. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give some direct tips that you probably will disagree with.
Yep. But run far, far away.
But these are good tips.
Spell, maybe. Yeah.
No, I mean, these are extreme. So the first one is don't slide into other people's DMs if you're married. Like that's just a no.
Very general statement, though.
How's that general?
Because what if you're sliding in because you're pitching your business? You're not sliding in because you want to slide.
But don't slide in and say, ASL or something.
You are now listening to
WokeNFree. WokeNFree?
WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
a podcast that keeps it real and honest.
That's the age, sex,
or
location.
What if you're sliding into the DM because you want to be friends with the person, but you're not like, hey, I want to be friends.
Nope, that's all right. Yeah, don't do that. That's what I'm saying. If you could do it, but your marriage won't be happy, you can do that. Go ahead.
It'd be problematic. I understand.
You can do that. Go ahead. But if you're married, you're not going to have a happy marriage.
Yeah, you're going to have problems. I got you.
You slide it in for friends that are of somebody that you could potentially be with. That's not.
All right.
That's a no-no. The second thing is that it goes back to it kind of addresses what you were talking about with people trying to be up in your marriage, but don't take advice from all these people on the outside of your marriage, and actually just go talk to your married partner, your spouse. Like, don't take, I don't know, Aunt Jenny's advice. Don't take Aunt Jenny's advice on, hey, your husband did you wrong, and you never even talked to him about the issues that you had. Like, don't just, because I know people will do that. They'll badmouth their partner, and you'll be like, oh man, you'll take that to heart, and then just, feel a certain way about the person. But just go and talk to the person about it. Don't discuss, just solely discuss this with others. That's not going to help. Yeah. That's going to make you upset. I mean, yeah. So I guess the next thing is maybe you should try to be honest with your partner. That's definitely helpful. Because if you're dishonest with them, what do you expect? But
that's a hard one, though. And I hope you recognize that, because honesty is painful, and it's usually not pretty.
Yeah, so it's honesty at a certain point. So
it's really hard to
when I say honesty, it's kind of like if you got a vasectomy, you got to tell them you had that. Don't tell them you didn't.
That's a really interesting scenario that you just dropped.
Because people try that. I mean, there's definitely people that do that. They do it and be like, I don't know why we're not getting pregnant. I wonder why. I wonder why. Don't do that's a big thing, right?
That is a big thing.
Yeah, so let's be honest about.
Don't play games.
Let's be honest about the things that are big. I mean, if you had an extra potato chip, it happens, right?
An extra potato chip.
Yeah, just one extra. Nobody knew that happened.
Adios, míos.
Cookie Monster didn't know. You didn't take a cookie, so it's okay.
Monster.
Yeah, it wasn't a cookie, so he was okay. He said,
so you obviously understand who's spending more time with KJ here in this scenario.
Really? That's what that means?
All right, Big Bird.
I'm trying to give some good tips. And then we're
gonna have some Coco Melon references.
This one, it's a good one. I learned it from an ex-vice president. I didn't learn it, but I heard about the situation. I hope it's
not some type of
and I agree with it. It's not a who-who?
Like an X-Men tip. You said vice president. I'm like...
No, it's ex-vice president. I mean, why would it be an X-Men tip? It's a little of the U.S. I'm not going to say his name, but anybody can figure it out.
Oh, Lord.
But it's a good one. And I think I agree with it at the end of the day. I mean, people are going to get... I know if you're real liberal, you might not go for it, but it makes sense to me. You shouldn't go out to a late night dinner with a person that you could possibly be with.
See, I disagree with that. I
know you do agree with that. Yeah,
with that because again, I've always
he said that he said he couldn't take out his female
I disagree.
Coworkers. He couldn't not take out, but he couldn't go to dinner with his female coworkers because that's inappropriate. He needs to be home with his wife at those hours.
I disagree because sometimes life lends for you to have a late night dinner, and if you cannot have a late night dinner with a friend who happens to be of the opposite gender with you, I just think that just means that you're saying that that friendship is a pretense. It's a falsehood, and it's like you're either friends or you're not friends. And even if you're friends with someone that technically you could hit it.
Yes, that's the problem.
That you choose not to is the active participant journey that you are on. You don't, that's like saying, again, we talked about that, like, you cannot be friends with someone who's hot. You could not be friends with the opposite.
But you can't.
I mean, we're getting into creating all these parameters.
But it's kind of like, you could be friends with them, but are you going to sleep in the bed next to them when you both had a late night drinking session? No, you're not, right? Because then no one's going to believe you and you would said nothing happened. But we just slept in the bed together. Our clothes were off, but we never touched. I mean, we cuddled, but nothing ever went in. It slipped in, but it never slipped out. See, what do you say?
You're such a fool.
You see?
Okay, so I would say, sure.
It doesn't make sense, right? It's all these excuses.
Ideally, you should not lay in bed together by yourself.
But who's to say that's not going to happen? It's like, we had too many drinks. We can't possibly drive home. Uber is going to be too expensive.
But you can get your own. You could get your own hotel rooms.
How can we possibly get a separate hotel rooms? It'd be so much cheaper if we just get it together. Oh no, they don't have the 2 beds; they only have 1. Oh, okay. You don't see that leads to all that.
So then, if you're saying that if people couldn't sleep in their clothes, just because they happen,
they can. But man, the air conditioning's not working. It's so hot.
You are foolish. You are so foolish.
Oh, they only have 1 pillow. We can share.
See, that's what I was saying. The devil creeping in.
No, but I'm saying anything can happen, and that's why just don't do this, and none of that would happen, right? Because it's always the excuses. But only if only I didn't go out to dinner with this person late at night.
I mean, right? I guess at that point.
So I'm just saying in terms of happiness, I'm not saying what you should and shouldn't do, but you can do that, but don't expect the marriage to be happy.
Well, yeah, I understand. If you're saying that, then yes. Because it definitely doesn't increase your chance.
Because Murphy's Law happens, right? Where it's like, oh man, all this is happening, and now I'm naked for some reason. Mm-hmm. Why am I naked with this hot person that I could get it on with, but I know I shouldn't? Because you put yourself in the situation. Don't even lend yourself to that. And I know people say, "Oh man, that's crazy. You're being so conservative." People can go and
it doesn't help.
And then they get in those situations. They're like, "Man, it just didn't work out." Yeah, because you're putting yourself in awkward situations and things happen that are out of your control.
I mean, yes, as a person who has typically always had friends of the opposite gender, then I understand that. Yes, to your point, it is not. And I've always typically had more male friends than female friends. So yes, it would not be ideal to put yourself out there in that scenario. But I do hate that idea of kind of creating these rules of like could, shouldn't, wouldn't, because it's like if I was doing the same thing with a person who was of my gender, then there's no question. But it's all the sudden because the person has opposite genitalia to me, then it's
it's not about even genitalia. It's about who you're attracted to. That's why. So it's because it's kind of like you have attraction to the opposite gender, so maybe you shouldn't hang out too late with that gender.
I just hate that, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, it doesn't lend for a happier marriage. So.
Yeah, it's just you're just putting yourself at risk.
That's where I say ultimately, when people are like, marriage makes you happy, lies and fairy the hell.
I don't think marriage necessarily makes you happy.
Because then all of a sudden now you have to create rules.
You have to curtail yourself.
Yeah. And I don't like to be told. What I can and cannot do.
But don't people love being told what to be doing?
I can't speak for other people. I can speak for myself, Khalil.
I think there's people that like that because they don't know how to organize their life, so they just want to hear it.
I know how to organize my life, and so I am not bad.
That's so messed up, wow.
This is absurd.
I mean, it's absurd that people have difference of opinions like
that's
this.
What I'm trying to say. This life is, real different. I mean,
that's one way to think of it. Yeah. Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Al Yusi recently married an inmate who is being released in the next 3 years. Do you think it's possible to be happy in this type of relationship?
Oh, what an interesting scenario. Okay. So I do know there's television programming around this idea of like married to prison or something, people in prison and then people come and they have, what's the name of that type when you have that, sexy time visits? What's that called?
Inmate love?
No. No,
Oh, I know you're talking about. Cordial.
It's definitely not cordial.
Right. I know. I feel like it's something like with a C, though.
Yeah, it's I'm like thinking conjunctivitis.
It's
not conjunctivitis.
It's definitely not that.
That's an eye condition.
That's not it.
It's like, oh gosh, I don't know why I'm blanking on that, but it's some type of meetup where you can go to have your marital time with your partner in prison, or if they're behind bars or something.
Yeah.
And so.
Is it conjugal?
Yes, there we go. That's the word.
Something
Thank
like
you.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I would say in the scenario where if Al-Lucy, if Al-Lucy is not interested in having a traditional marriage where you typically see your partner on a day-to-day or at least more than once a week kind of situation, then their person being in prison isn't particularly, kind of a deal breaker, because that's not what they're looking for. And then if you're okay with having to deal with the majority of the obligations, like filing your taxes or taking out the trash, or whatever family planning needs, that if Lucy can do that on their own, and then again they're comfortable with those types of sexy time visits, and whatever those circumstances and sanitary conditions are, I'm not quite sure. I've never experienced that, so
Smart.
I cannot. I'm trying not to judge. So I'm going to just say, good. If whatever those conditions and situations are, if that works for. Say it again.
Jungle Time?
Al-Lucy?
Oh, you talking about the name Al-Lucy?
You sicko!
No, I was thinking about the conditions. You were trying to describe the conditions.
I don't say that people can't have their sexy time and not be showered. I don't know what the conditions are.
Jungle conditions.
I think that's an assumption, and that's a poor judgment.
It's not poor judgment. It's just fine, right?
I'm not speaking on that.
Okay. I'm saying people they're free to live their lives.
They are free to do how they need to do it when they need to do it.
There's no judgment for me.
I bet there isn't, yeah. So I would say as long as Lucy is consenting to all of that, then then yes, you can be happily married. For me, that would not work. But yeah, what do you think?
So I think no matter what the person thinks or does or who they are, it's impossible to be happy in this type of relationship.
Oh, okay.
I think there's no way that you could be married to an inmate and be happy in that relationship. I think it'll be short-lived. Then you'll see the realities of marrying somebody who's behind bars. It's not happiness, though. It's just too much.
Are you sure that's not your bias or judgment curtailing your answer there?
No, I'm just thinking realistically, because there's too many kind of concessions you have to make for being married to somebody who's behind bars.
But what if you like that you never really have to see the person?
I don't think you like it.
And then Lucy can go on late night, evening calls.
Yeah, and then you find somebody else and the marriage isn't happy. That's not considered happy marriage.
You are happily married, but you're also happily finding entertainment elsewhere.
That's not happily married. That's definitely not. Then your marriage is not happy. I mean, you could try to swish-wash it. That's personal happiness, but the marriage isn't. It's kind of like the marriage as a whole isn't happy, because if the person finds out, if the inmate finds out, hopefully they don't have any like violent charges on their head, because that is not something you want to do to this inmate here, right? That's not cool. So I think to me, these type of relationships are destined to fail. Okay. Because the person needs to at least be out, because then at the end you can know they're at least serious.
But what if they send you the most beautiful letters from prison, and you're a person who maybe Lucy is like an introvert and doesn't have any friends of the opposite gender?
Don't marry them. Just talk to them. Then don't try to marry them. But what if,
like to your point, they want to do the math and they want that one-to-one connection? They don't want the prisoner writing beautiful letters elsewhere, so they marry them because they want this beautiful connection with this prisoner. It's only 3 years. That's going to fly by before you know it. Maybe a year and change, like a year and 7 months with good behavior, and they're out, and then they can have this kind of really like built up tension and beautifulness when they finally do meet, and it could be a beautiful different.
It's different dating somebody who's not there and then they're there too, because it's kind of like people who went through COVID-19 together. They just said, "Oh, I don't like you," right? We're gonna have to divorce now, because now I see I can't stand being around you too long. So it could happen, and there's like so many pitfalls here. It's so hilarious to me. There's too many pitfalls in this situation. It's, to me, you need to date when the person's like, you can date them while they're in prison. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But once they get out, I think you still need to date before you get married.
Figure it out.
Then you can say, okay, I see. And it's different if kind of like you were about to get married and then they went to prison for whatever
and you
reason.
At least had that experience.
Then
with them, right?
that's still, you could still be happily married. But if you meet the person in prison through whatever ways you did, and now you say you're going to be happily married, I think that's not really possible to be happy.
Interesting.
I don't think so. But it's just an opinion, right? I mean, I could be wrong. People could say I love this relationship. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scenario 2. Quiana has a partner she met on a reality show who refuses to not go out at least 5 times a week. Even during the height of the pandemic, her partner, like clockwork, went out each night without her. Do you think they can live a happily ever after?
Oh, wow. And I just want to get an understanding. Kiana is not a fan of going out as much as her partner, right?
Nah, she likes the Netflix, but she doesn't get to chill.
Okay, because the partner's out having
there's
chill
no
time
chilling
elsewhere.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, that's not part of the scenario.
Okay, gotcha.
That's something else you're saying. Yeah, that's something else.
Okay.
I don't know.
And then also another question. Was Kiana aware of her partner's prolific partying nature before they got married or no?
No.
Oh, oof. Darn. So in that scenario, Kiana unfortunately made that mistake, that fatal mistake of marrying someone she didn't know. Yeah, that's
But remember, they met on a reality show.
That's unfortunate, yeah.
Which part? Marrying someone you didn't know or meeting on a reality show? Which one's unfortunate? I'm
less judgmental and choose the latter, not the former. And then I'm going to then say, ultimately, because she's married to someone she doesn't know, then that is like this partying is probably just one of other types of behaviors and or secrets she's not aware of, and most likely it sounds like there's a misalignment here. And so this is neither a happy marriage nor a sustainable marriage.
All right. I mean, I tend to agree. It's possible they could live happily ever after, but it doesn't seem like it, because I think this happening, usually somebody just quits. So I could see her just quitting this relationship and not even giving it a chance because somebody's addicted to partying is what it seems like. That they're just going to do it. And I don't know how you're going to change their mind now. I mean, how are you doing that I don't even know where you were going during the pandemic where you got to take food to go and stuff. Where were you partying at? You partying in the
parking lot?
Parking lot, yeah. You were partying in your car. You had the friends come over. Hey, let's get the cars over.
There are some people who are really committed to party. Like, we're not, but
to the parking lot.
Some people are into it, man.
They light up fireworks in their parking lot.
Or they're going to people's apartments or something.
Wow, you bust out the what is it, the tailgate.
Exactly, yeah. And they got that 25 piece chicken from Raising Cane's. Like,
you did that, no, but there's people that bring a grill, an electric grill out, or a portable propane grill.
DIY party.
Yeah, right in the any parking lot, like
gross.
You said. Not gross. Very tasty meats you can make.
Gross, yeah.
Oh, all right, but you can make vegetables too if you're vegan.
Gross, yeah.
Beans? Well, not on the grill. You can have some different stuff though.
That sounds attractive.
I wonder, can you make beans on the grill?
That's disgusting.
Because it might be hard. I don't know if you can boil.
It's going to fall through, Khalil.
No, I'm thinking if you put the beans in a pan and you put a pot of water.
I guess so.
But I don't know. I mean, would it explode or something?
Possibly.
After a while?
That's not
Is it going to get too hot? Yeah. You can't control the heat that well. Well, that's interesting. I think you might be able to do it.
But again,
it's just gonna
you're
be rough.
partying and eating beans. This sounds like a disaster that's going to happen.
Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat it, the more you toot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You spend too much time with our toddler.
Is that what that is?
You said
they're
like the magic school bus.
No, that's not. I mean, we're not. That's not even that deep, though. That's the thing. I didn't go all that deep. I told the truth that if you party,
that's unfortunate.
Try not to eat the beans.
Because she's gonna fall within that category, like fictionally speaking, of that first marriage divorce rate. That's so high, 41%. Ooh,
I know, it's pretty high already.
Good gosh.
And then it makes
and it gets worse as you go.
Yeah, the third marriage makes sense. 75%. I mean, who would have not guessed that, right?
Well, you're so judgmental about multiple marriages. You're like, of course. You've been married 75 times. Like,
yeah, I mean, do it the 8th time. Yeah, I mean, that's gonna last, right? Come on, guys.
Let people live and let them live. They are just feeling their feelings.
I love it. I just want to know somebody who's been married 20 times. I would love to meet that person. That's you just don't care anymore, right?
Well, my whole thing is
divorces
why
cost money
married.
too.
Yeah, it costs money. Like, I would say if the first marriage didn't work, then just be a happy dater after.
Oh, that's funny. You don't think somebody can go for the second marriage?
I mean, I know it's possible. I
think
you want
that's
to
the
bear
max,
the cost of. I personally, just to me, I'm not interested in spending money that way. But I guess if you can and you got it like that and you don't mind, I just
if there's a reason,
I would rather
pertinent reason,
save my money. I just don't.
there's got to be a pertinent reason, right, to get married a second
I'd
time.
rather buy myself a Birkin.
You shouldn't, because I think the problem is
Like,
people, like I said, people marry to take people off the market, but that might be the wrong mentality there. That's not.
Well, yeah,
really
no
the
one
best.
owns anyone other than Mother Earth. I don't know who you think is someone owning you. It's such an archaic perspective, and it's sickening to me. But it is.
But
what
it's
it
about
is.
contracts too, because you're making a contract that the person
Mhm.
they'll be faithful to you, and they won't go around philandering.
Supposedly, yeah.
But that's what the contract's about. So yeah, you make that, and you're like, good. Now you signed a
But
contract.
it's like you're doing that, but
you
it's
may
like
not
most
stick
people
to
have their
anyway.
hand behind their back, and they're like, "We'll see how."
Well, they
this
cross their
works."
fingers. They're like, maybe.
Yeah,
like, I'm saying these words.
maybe, but
Like,
it depends
possibly.
on how hot she is, really. Like,
Just say, well, yeah. I mean, they're like, maybe, I
But
don't
it
know.
depends on those late night dinners.
Yeah, and it depends on the risk you take. Going out late night with your best friend that you've known for 5 years, whatever.
You're a mess.
It could be anything.
You're such a mess.
You gotta listen to our
Oh,
ex-vice. He may have not got everything right, but our ex-vice president got that right.
I am not listening to that piece of advice.
You don't listen to our ex-vice president who used to, I don't know what vice presidents
Grab-
really do.
Who has?
No, that's not, no,
I'm
that's,
kidding.
oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
All right, you just, yeah,
I'm
because
joking.
I don't know if he could condone that. Yeah, he wasn't about that life. He was
No.
way opposite of that, just to say.
Yeah.
The different guy for that. So, scenario 3. Simone made a regretful mistake by sleeping with her husband's best friend on her wedding night. She
Ooh.
explained that it was a mistake where she slipped and fell into it. Her
Excuse you? Wait a minute, Khalil. Wait a minute. What? You've lost your mind, apparently.
This is
Get away from me.
This is what she said. She's explaining to her husband what had happened.
What?
Well, what had happened was, yeah, this is what had happened. It was.
I wasn't ready for that smoke. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay. This is some people have these kind of.
Oh no!
They have these. They make if you get.
Were they swimming?
If you take a shower and
And then
you can wash off all the
slipped in?
soap.
What kind of soap madness is this?
If you don't get the soap off the bottom of your foot, it can get really tough.
And you can fall on top of a genitalia. I mean,
rough,
you would
right?
break something if that
Then
was
you go to
true.
the hospital.
Yeah.
Somebody did that.
But you
Dennis
didn't-
Rodman did that.
Yeah, but you're not gonna have fun. You're gonna break something.
It could be a damaging situation. But
Okay.
this is what she explained to her husband.
Okay.
And her husband was very understanding and said they could work through it. Do you think it is possible to get over this type of infidelity?
Absolutely, because he's gonna spend the rest of their marriage screwing her best friends and everyone else.
So he got over it by messing with the friends.
1,000%.
Oh, okay.
He
That's
said,
getting over it.
These
That's the
streets be
definition.
calling my name.
That's the definition
He said,
of getting
I
over
got you, but 10 times over, darling.
So-
So, yeah, ain't nothing but a chicken wing.
So that's a definition of getting over it.
Yes, 1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah, we're definitely going in that direction here.
Nice.
Listen, it's revenge is ugly. It's
Okay, so you think revenge. That's
I
what
mean, because to be
and you're
so
over
calm
it.
and be like, no, that's totally fine, dear. That's what that would mean to
But
me. That
you
means
said they can work through it. I thought you
Yeah.
were a fan of people working through infidelity.
I am a fan of it, but I know that it means thank you. These streets are calling my name. That's what that means. Like I told you.
What? That is
Anyone
crazy.
who messes up,
No.
and you know who I mean by
No.
anyone,
That's
these
a-
streets be calling these my name.
No, that is not. No, that is not.
Try me, please.
That is not.
Because
kind of rules you
revenge
play
can
by.
look real sexy.
Then it's. I mean, at that point, you're just in an open marriage. Then,
These streets be calling my name.
because that's basically what you're saying. You're saying because of what she did, she had a mistake. She slipped, and
I
now
bet she did.
she's gonna pay for it with an open marriage that she didn't sign up for.
These streets be calling your name.
Just because she didn't know
Well,
that her foot was so
I guess she
lubed.
should have been
Her foot
wearing
was too lubed.
Uggs then in the shower, because then that wouldn't have happened.
Because you could slip really far.
Yeah, if you're too slippery whippery,
Yeah, you're like,
then
whoa.
you should wear metal shoes then.
Because it could even happen. She's just walking, and then she never wears panties, so she
In
just
other
tripped.
people's bedrooms too.
No, just think about it. All right, here's what
Yeah,
happened. They
okay.
the best friend came up to the hotel room.
Mistake number one. Yep.
because
Go ahead, continue.
because her husband, he wanted to get his fancy watch. He said, "Hey, bring that down to me before we finish the night. I want to show it all."
Yep, mistake number
so he
two.
went.
Yep.
But the wife was up there because she was changing into her next outfit.
Oh, okay.
So she was walking around. He was sitting looking for the watch, and then she tripped over some shoes or socks on the floor.
And she answered the door fully unthrottled.
No, she wouldn't. No, she had her clothes on, but she never wears panties. So he sat on the bed. Yeah, he sat on the bed. He's going through the drawers, and she was trying to get around him, and she fell into his lap without panties on.
You've thought about this way too much.
No, I'm just saying how it could happen.
Is this a fantasy of yours?
No, I'm just saying how a person can slip and fall into someone's lap.
I bet it is.
And then he said, "Oh, you're in my lap." And then he said, "You know what? I'm just going to take my pants off because I soiled myself." But not the soil to be in the way you think. No, not that way, no.
You foolish man.
I mean, it's different.
Okay. This is like a Rose from Golden Girls nonsensical story, if I have ever heard one in my life.
But the point is see how things could happen.
So excuse me, I've soiled myself. I have to remove my pants. All of a sudden, you happen to just land on me. And,
you land on me, and oh no, my pants are off.
And then, oh no, we're slipping.
You slipped and fell in, and then we adjusted.
And then you just kept going.
Because realistically, what happens if you slip and fall in the lap? She says, "Oh, let me readjust so the aim can be perfect."
This is getting weird and
so
the point is it possible to get over it? Of course. I mean, I do believe in forgiveness. I do believe there's forgiveness after infidelity. It just depends on the person. So if the person is true and honest around it, then yeah, you guys are going to be in couples therapy. You're going to work through it. You may even have to change the terms of your relationship. Maybe you both realize, you know what, this really happened because honestly and truly monogamy isn't for you. And yeah, you want to do an open marriage, or you want to play games or be in a throuple, or,
play games,
explore different options, right?
You call it playing games with people call it their life. That's a good one. They're like, that's my life. It's not a game. This is my life.
Everything is a game.
I want to live it.
Yeah, this is a game.
But technically.
Yeah, life is a game. You're in the Matrix. Get over it. You aren't unplugged yet. So, being that we're all plugged in, then, it's just possible. But if the person does say they can get over it and they actually hold it over you and they start acting against you, then that will be self-evident. And then you would know that, okay, this is really over and this person's just being vengeful and nasty and mean and all other types of identifiers that come with that. So it's going to be based on not just what your partner says, but also how they act, and then time. Time heals all wounds. So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, my answer to this, but
just
so the WokeNFree Nation knows is I never think you can get over infidelity. I think it's impossible. Mm-hmm. At least, I mean, and of course this is going to be, it sounds sexist, but I just think men can't get over infidelity. That's what I think. I mean, I can't prove that it's true, but I think men would have a harder time than women because... The
irony being that when you all want to do it, though, and you want to be forgiven, but you think that...
But it's not irony because it's kind of like... See, think about it. Look, men are like...
Yeah.
We can't get over if you cheat, but since we think you can get over it easily, then we can do it because you get over it easily.
The irony is that,
What's the irony?
It's so messed up because you're going to do something that you're doing something that you wouldn't forget.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
From that point,
it's
like,
it's ironic.
Isn't that pleasant?
It's ironic in that sense because I think men don't forgive because that's the whole thing with men is. I don't know if it's an ownership thing or it's a what thing.
Yes, it is. That's
but it's just like, man.
We've tampered with what's
mine. Yeah, I mean, I was, I laid my claims to that, and now you have too. It makes it hard. I mean, man, it's kind of like you've trampled on my manhood, kind of. So I think it's harder for men, and then especially in this case, I think it's impossible too because it's your best friend because you're gonna be out to eat. And then he's going to be slurping on some spaghetti. And you'll be like, what else did you slurp like that? See, it just gets hard.
What the hell?
Your best friend, you're going to see him slurping on spaghetti.
Do not repeat.
No, because you see him slurping up the sauce. It's like, come on, man. Don't do that in front of me. Did you do that to my wife?
I have a response, but I'm not even going to say it, right? Okay.
No, but I don't know what your response is, but I just...
So when
crazy.
she's drinking a milkshake, he's going to look at her and be like... Exactly. Like, so that's what I'm trying to say. Come on, man.
No, but...
Like, you're a hot mess.
No, I think it's worse with guys because guys will try to clown you like that. So that's a problem. Your best friend, he's going to always look at you like, your wife, yo, she's a good person. And it's like, yeah, she is.
You're a horrible,
you can't ever talk to him about it, right? You're like, yeah, my wife is really good. What are you trying to... I mean... And of course you know it too, don't you? It's like messed up. You both can share.
Crazy.
You both can relish in that. Like, that's crazy. And you can both say,
you can high five it too, yeah.
You can both talk about her beauty marks, and it's like, you shouldn't have known about that beauty mark. That was a hidden secret. Hidden figure. You should have not known about that, right? See, it's too much because he could always.
You are too invested in
and he can hide it for a couple of years. You think I'm invested because the best friend can wait 10 years and be like, you know what?
Papa.
I know something that you don't know. Them toes be curling up. Like, wait, what are you talking about? What toes? Never mind. And then see, you can just drop little hints like that. And it just blows your mind. What's happening? So I've never seen toes curl. What's going on here? See, and then there it goes. You're like, man, is there something wrong with me? I don't know. See, it's a whole lot of mess there. That's why it just can't work out. Like, the infidelity, it ruined the marriage. That's it.
Stay plugged in the Matrix. Get over yourself. We are at that time again.
That's it. It's done.
It is coming to the end of our 280th episode of WokeNFree. And again, we asked the question: is it possible to be happily married? And there was a lot to be heard, to be learned, and all of that. So, what do folks need to do now, Khalil?
They need to come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
Yes, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, definitely share your story and pitch us on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com. You can hit us up on our social media. You'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokenFree. And all sponsorship and collaboration queries, again, hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokenFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokenFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.